War production required immense quantities of timber, and the IWW really controlled the great timber areas of the Northwest, therefore attracting the government's attention, particularly when the IWW engaged in strikes against the conditions under which logging was done.
The General Strike developed in the summer of 1917, and it spread up and down the Pacific coast. And it was led by the IWW.
In the summer of 1917, the woods were almost solidly organized. The lumberjack, the most individualistic worker that you can think of, the big man idea, Paul Bunyan complex. Now the solidarity was such. Not one logger remained in the camps wherever we could get in communication with that camp to tell them that the strike was on.
50,000 lumberjacks, 50,000 packs, 50,000 dirty rolls of blankets on their backs, 50,000 minds made up to strike and strike like men. For 50 years they packed a bed, but never will again.
They tried every way to break up the strike. They sent soldiers in there. Soldiers that never had an axe in their hand. They didn't know they get lost if they walked around a big stump.
They organized the spruce division. That's the way they used the army as strike breakers.
They called them the Loyal Legion of Loggers. We called them the lousy, long-legged loggers. Wave the flag with one hand and rob you with the other.
So we soon defeated their efforts because they were so patently on the side of the company. You know. Sometimes the superintendent of the mill would be president of the local.
So the whole forces of the government, the army, whatnot, was set against the IWW, and frequently they would be taken and put into like stockades to lock them up. So the idea occurred to transfer the strike back to the job.
The strike on the job, in my estimation, was the best tactic that ever came out of the IWW. Better than the sit-down strike later, because the workers stayed on the job and got their pay, but they slowed production down sometimes 50%. And that soon brought the bosses to their knees, quicker than anything else ever did.
One of the things they would do, they would work 8 hours, and everybody would walk off the job. The boss would, some of them would say, "Hey, we worked 10 hours on this job." "Well, that's all right. We worked 8 today. We'll work 2 more for you tomorrow." The last of all to give in was Warehouser.
We were striking for the 8-hour day, and we got it. And the Knights of Labor had failed, the AFL had failed. We made it in the IWW.